Welcome to News Round, a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. I'm Tenyola Shibowale. The headlines. Supreme Court strikes out President Buhari and the Attorney General's suits challenging Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act 2022. President Buhari sends names of ministerial nominees to Senate for screening and confirmation. Out-of-court settlement deal in suit seeking salary review for judges collapses. Plus, at least 1,000 people die in the 6.1 magnitude earthquake that struck Afghanistan. That's News Round in View. We begin News Round with a landmark judgment at the Supreme Court, which has struck out the suit instituted by the President against the National Assembly, challenging the legality of Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act 2022. In a unanimous judgment delivered by Justice Emmanuel Agim, the Apex Court held that allowing the suit to have its way will amount to appropriating and repropriating at the same time and an abuse of the court process.
It was a scanty courtroom as the Supreme Court put to rest the suit filed by President Muhammadu Buhari and the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Abubakar Malami, asking for an order compelling the National Assembly to delete Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act on the grounds that the section is unconstitutional, illegal, and discriminatory. There have been several debates regarding Section 84, subsection 12 of the amended Electoral Act 2022, which was assented to on the 25th of February 2022 by the President. Upon assenting to the Act, President Buhari had asked the National Assembly to delete the contentious clause. However, Parliament declined the President's request. Meanwhile, one Mr. Nduka Edede approached the Federal High Court in Umuahia, Abia State, seeking the deletion of Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act on the 18th of March 2022. Thereafter, the court ordered the AGF to delete the amended section of the Act. Dissatisfied with the court verdict, federal lawmakers challenged the decision at the Court of Appeal. And on the 11th of May 2022, a three-man panel of justices led by Justice Hamma Baraka held that the Federal High Court Umuahia had no jurisdiction to have entertained the case, since the plaintiff, Mr. Nduka Edede, lacked the local standi to have filed the suit in the first instance. However, the appellate court wants the Supreme Court to provide interpretation in the suit. Nevertheless, President Muhammadu Buhari and Mr. Malami approached the Apex Court seeking the deletion of Section 84, subsection 12. In taking a decision on the matter, the seven-man panel of the Apex Court unanimously stated that the President lacked the jurisdiction to bring the suit before it because of the nature of the relief sought. The Apex Court's justices also held that having earlier assented to the section, the President cannot turn around to approach the court to strike it out, explaining that the President's request amounts to constitutional violation. The justices add that the suit cannot be entertained by the Apex Court under Section 1, subsection 1A of the Additional Jurisdiction of the Supreme Court Act.
I cannot but to salute the courage, the industry of my noble lord for doing justice to this matter. Cases do come. We have filed our reaction, and my noble lords agree with our reactions to the point that this is not the kind of the matter that should be brought to the Supreme Court, particularly where the President happened to be the part of the maker of that law. You can't appropriate at the same time to be appropriating. You cannot be seen to have done something and at the same time turn around to ask that what you have done should be set aside in this kind of procedure.
The Supreme Court have delivered their judgments, and being the Apex Court, everybody is bound by it. Unfortunately, the merit of the case was not determined. The objections of the defendant was upheld. Where the first and second defendant were held not to have sufficient locus to bring the action and to invoke the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court on the matter. And well, having made that point, they felt there was no need for them to determine the merits of the case, which is on the constitutionality of Section 84(12) of the Constitution, of the Electoral Act.
Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act holds that no political appointee at any level shall be a voting delegate or be voted for at a convention or congress of any political party for the purpose of nomination of candidates for any election.
The federal government has once again promised to resolve the dispute with the Academic Staff Union of Universities soon. The Minister of Labour and Productivity, Mr. Chris Ngige, gave this assurance during a briefing after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by the President, where he notes that they will find closure to the deadlock before the end of the current administration.
Hours before a scheduled trip to Rwanda, President Muhammadu Buhari presides over the Federal Executive Council meeting with no less than 6 ministers physically in attendance. The lingering face-off between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, culminating in a 4-month-old strike, is once again illuminated.
If ASUU and other unions in the university system want to comply with the labor laws of the country, the land, once I have apprehended a dispute and brought it to my table, you return to what is called status quo ante bellum. You go back from war and start teaching your students while this is work in progress. So even as they have abandoned their jobs, all of them, and the children are at home, discussions and work is still going on. It's work in progress. It will be resolved, and very soon. Why it will be resolved is that is the same pattern with that of the health sector.
The federal government, according to him, has scheduled a meeting with ASUU on Thursday, June 23, for further deliberations. He is, however, quick to underscore that the federal government is not planning a different payment table for all trade unions in tertiary institutions.
We know also that once you do it in universities, the polytechnics will come. We also know that the colleges of education will come. The whole educational sector. We are not afraid of handling it because government will do the needful. They have to do within the available resources they have.
By the same token, the Minister of Information and Culture equally announced that the council had approved 18 billion naira to Yobe State, bringing the total amount disbursed to 24 state governments to 447 billion naira for expenses incurred on federal government projects.
These claims were not based on what they did on our behalf, but what they did in previous administrations. And honestly, without the federal government bailing out, most states would have gone under.
Separately, the Federal Executive Council approved the opening of employment and job creation portals aimed at documenting the number of job vacancies and skills of job seekers in the country and, by extension, Nigerians in the diaspora. From the Presidential Villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Back to electoral matters, the House of Representatives has stepped down a motion to override President Buhari on the Electoral Act. The amendment is on Section 84, subsection 14, to allow statutory delegates to participate in political parties, congresses and conventions. The motion was stepped down after the Deputy Speaker, who presided over plenary, advised the mover of the motion, Benny Papa, against violating the procedure for overriding the President.
It's about 40 days since the National Assembly transmitted to the President for assent a bill for an act to amend the Electoral Act 2022, which amended Section 84, subsection 8 to allow statutory delegates to participate in political parties, congresses and conventions. Section 58, subsection 4 of the Constitution provides that the President has 30 days to assent to a bill sent by Parliament or formally communicate his decision to decline assent. Honorable Benny Bakba moves a motion during Tuesday's plenary on the need to override the president, based on the Speaker's advice the previous week when the lawmaker raised a constitutional point of order on the matter. The Deputy Speaker, however, draws his attention to the procedure for overriding the president, and the motion is stepped down.
My guide is only that the procedure followed is not what is expected, and that's not the procedure. That's only that's my guidance.
Mr. Speaker directed exactly what I am doing. So it means there's a miscommunication somewhere, but what you are saying is still in order. We'll follow it and ensure that this is done.
The Speaker wouldn't have asked you to come with a motion because for you to override on any bill, you need 2/3 of members, not 2/3 of members sitting, but 2/3 of members of the National Assembly. So you can't come through motion. And that's why I'm guiding you and then guiding the House. Thank you very much. So motion stepped down by the leader of the House for further legislative action.
Outside the chamber, the House leader and the sponsor of the motion speak on what had just transpired.
By our standing rules and by the procedure, traditional procedure of the House of Representatives, you can only do that by a substantive bill, because this is a legislation, and you cannot overturn any legislative upheavals through the instrumentality of a motion.
The explanation is that the rules and business should bring it in form of a bill. Yes, I expected the chair to direct the rules and business to bring the bill for reconsideration so that we can pass it for a fourth time, which means with 2/3 majority, which means we have actually fulfilled the section 58(5) of the Constitution.
The actions of the House of Representatives are similar to that of the Senate, which had gathered signatures to override the President's veto on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill earlier this year over the inclusion of direct primaries as a compulsory method of primaries for political parties. That plan was eventually jettisoned. Attention will be focused to see if the House will follow through with the override and if it can get the Senate to sign off on it as well. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Staying in the National Assembly, President Muhammadu Buhari has sent the names of 7 ministerial nominees to the Senate for confirmation as ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The confirmation request is contained in a letter addressed to the President of the Senate and read on the floor during Tuesday's plenary session.
I have the honor to forward the underlisted ministerial nominees for confirmation by the Senate. 1.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan reads a letter from President Buhari requesting the upper chamber to confirm 7 ministerial nominees.
Copies of their curriculum vitae are attached herewith. It is my hope that this exercise will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the distinguished members of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
However, President Buhari did not attach the portfolios for the ministerial nominees, an action which Parliament has raised eyebrows about. If confirmed by the Senate, the nominees are expected to replace the vacant ministerial positions. Meanwhile, the string of defections continues in the upper chamber. 3 lawmakers from the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, jumped ship to opposition parties. Senators Ahmed Keita, representing Katsina North, and Francis Alimihena from Edo North, moved to the People's Democratic Party, PDP, while Senator Lawal Gumel, representing Bauchi State, defected to the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP.
Change of political party.
The notice of their defection was contained in 3 separate letters read by Senate President Ahmed Lawan during Tuesday's plenary session.
As a senator representing Katsina North Senatorial District, I write to formally notify you of my resignation from the All Progressives Congress, APC, and registration declaration for the People's Democratic Party, PDP. My resignation from the APC was born out of the marginalization of critical stakeholders of the party by the state government and the leadership of the party in Katsina State, where small people like me do not have a chance.
Meanwhile, the PDP has nominated Senator Philip Aduda as a new minority leader. This is to fill the vacant seat created by Senator Eyinaya Baribe's defection. The party has also nominated Senator Chukwuka Utazi as a new Senate Minority Whip. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
Efforts to have an out-of-court settlement on a suit seeking salary increase for Nigerian judges appears to have fallen apart. At the resumed hearing on the suit instituted by a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Sebastian On, at the Industrial Court, the National Judicial Council said it's unprecedented and an international embarrassment for the issue of judges' welfare to become a subject of litigation.
About 30 senior advocates of Nigeria and the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Olumide Akpata, were at the National Industrial Court, Abuja, for the hearing in a suit seeking a general upward review of wages for Nigerian judges instituted by Sebastian Hon. Senior lawyers are seen discussing in groups, probably putting final touches to their arguments. At the resumed hearing, counsel for the plaintiff, Mr. Adegboyega Awomolo, told the court that the Attorney General of the Federation had served counter-affidavit and preliminary objection to the suit, and efforts to get the National Assembly leadership to resolve the matter out of court has no positive outcome. This, according to him, indicates that the June 6 proposed out-of-court settlement has collapsed.
It is the National Assembly Council who told the court that it is desirable and worthwhile for the parties to settle amicably. But unfortunately, there was no serious move.
The Learned Attorney General of the Federation filed a counter-affidavit to our suit, but we have also filed a further affidavit exhibiting press statements where he said that the judiciary is not well-funded and the judges are not well-paid.
However, counsel to the NJC asked the court to grant him an adjournment to enable him file necessary processes. He also speaks on the importance of the suit.
We are even in court on a matter of this nature where there are agitations to have the remunerations of judges and justices having to be by way of compulsion by the court is an international embarrassment.
Other senior lawyers who were in court say the public outcry by Supreme Court judges is extraordinary and in bad taste.
Very unprecedented that justices of the Supreme Court will come out to express their disgust with the system. And I think all of us are worried.
I have said, and I am saying here, that the leadership of the legal profession, the Board of Benchers, the Nigerian Bar Association, the Body of Senior Advocates of Nigeria must do something. If we fail to do something, sooner than later we are returning to a state of nature where the mighty will be right.
In a brief ruling, Justice Obaseki Osage granted the adjournment request by the NJC and fixed June 28 for hearing of the suit.
Staying with legal matters, the family of gospel artist Osinachi has told a federal Capital Territory High Court that the singer died of ulcer following starvation by her husband and not cancer of the lungs, as he claims. This testimony was given by the deceased mother and her elder sister, who took to the witness stand at the commencement of the trial of Mr. Peter Nwachukwu.
Husband of the late gospel singer Osinachi, Peter Nwachukwu, at the Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja for the commencement of his trial in a suit instituted by the federal government over alleged homicide. As expected, the courtroom is filled to capacity with lawyers, journalists, and members of the late singer's family who have come to testify. First to take the witness stand is the victim's mother, Mrs. Caroline Madu. In her emotion-laden testimony, she told the court that she missed the customary visit at the birth of her grandchildren because the accused did not allow her to visit the home of her daughter. She alleged that Mr. Nwachukwu would always beat his wife, adding that the singer spent a year and 3 months outside her own home due to the incessant domestic violence. She explained that Osinachi suffered from ulcer
contrary to claims from her husband that she had cancer of the lungs, adding that she lived in penury despite the money she made from her stage performances. She alleged that her husband, who is also her manager, negotiated and collected the payments for her performances. The 61-year-old also said that she once sent foodstuff to her from Enugu when the victim complained of hunger after the birth of her third child. However, under cross-examination, the witnesses said they witnessed some of these incidents firsthand, and some were reported by family members.
Trial has commenced. They brought in the 2 witnesses testified today, and they intend to bring 3 more tomorrow. So wait for them tomorrow and see how it goes.
Our work as the prosecution team is to present the facts and the evidence as it relates to the charge before the court. And that's all we have done. We have other witnesses, and we are coming back tomorrow. The case has been given accelerated hearing, and you can see from the body language of the court, from what transpired in the morning, that the court is not ready for any game. It's serious business, and that's what all of us are doing here.
The trial judge adjourns the case to June 21 for the continuation of trial. The trial of the defendant is hinged on a 23-count charge bordering on alleged homicide.
As part of efforts to ensure adequate security of lives and properties on the Abuja Kaduna highway, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Usman Alkali Baba, has approved the deployment of additional personnel of the police mobile force to the route. The Commissioner of Police in charge of Police Mobile Force urged the policemen to be civil but firm and deal decisively with all persons threatening the peace and security of the nation.
The morale is high as officers and men of the Nigerian Police Mobile Force prepare for deployment on the Abuja Kaduna routes. The Commissioner of Police, in charge of Police Mobile Force, addresses the men on the need to be professional. The team departs Force Headquarters in Abuja with an aerial cover from the air wing of the police. Leader of the team gives reasons for the deployment as he assures motorists of regular patrol.
You may recall, precisely on the 28th of March 2022, there was a train attack by terrorists along Abuja Kaduna Road, thereby disrupting the rail transport. So the IGP, now that it is only the road that is going to be used for transportation, initiated this patrol, and we have been on it right from that 28th, on the 29th to date. We have been on that patrol. Just want to assure them that Kaduna-Abuja highway is safe. They can travel at any time of the day. The patrol teams are around. When we are passing, you can see patrol teams at Regina, the gun trucks, patrol teams at Katari. Immediately we close from this patrol, they will now take up from where we stopped.
Some motorists share their experience flying the Abuja Kaduna highway.
Well, for now it's okay. We don't have any hitches for now because I passed here on Friday and there was no issue, and I'm passing again today. From where I'm coming from, I have not had any issue. So at least there is a little improvement, and we pray for God for us to have more improvement in our security situation in this country.
The road they bad, well for the risk. The security they tight small, not be too much small, but they too much small.
A regular patrol of the Abuja Kaduna highway by the police mobile force, backed by the air wing of the police, is expected to ensure that it will no longer be business as usual for bandits terrorizing motorists and villagers along that route.
A news round ends in Afghanistan, where at least 1,000 people have been killed and hundreds more injured following a 6.1 magnitude earthquake. The Taliban, which now rules over the country, says hundreds of houses were destroyed, and they expect the death toll to rise.
The death toll has been rising since the quake struck early this morning. Authorities say at least 1,000 people were killed in the 6.1 magnitude quake, with hundreds more injured. They say the death toll is likely to rise. The quake struck about 44 kilometers from the city of Khost, near the Pakistani border. Video from the area showed homes reduced to rubble. At least 25 people were killed in Khost and 90 more taken to hospital. The Taliban dispatched a helicopter to help carry the injured to hospital. Pakistan's biggest charity, Eddie Foundation, said it sent ambulances with rescue workers and is prepared to send more help for the people of Afghanistan.
And that's News Round this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tenyo Olashibowale.